Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So today we are going to talk about Ukraine, but we're going to talk about a teachable moment for the rest of the world, particularly those in the United States who don't understand a concept. So we're going to talk about some things that have occurred there. We're going to talk a lot about the media coverage of what's going on in Ukraine, and we're going to compare and contrast it to some other things. Mainly, we're going to talk about Ukraine and race. There have been reports, and there is incredibly strong evidence to suggest that people in Ukraine who aren't Ukrainian, people who came from other countries, when they tried to leave, when they tried to flee, that at the border they were pushed back. And Ukrainians got out first, right? This is also especially true if those people were a different color. If they had a different skin tone, they got pushed back. This was reported on, but not really widely. And there are a number of reasons for that. One is simply that Western media has gone all in on supporting Ukraine. And this, well, that might help undermine that. So it just gets glossed over. Another reason is that for a lot of people covering it, well, it's not really that important, right? It's better there than wherever they came from. And you can say that that's not really what they're thinking. However, if you really listen to the commentary, things you will hear is that this could be any city in Europe. We see AKs and RPGs in Europe. This isn't Afghanistan. This could be any semi-civilized country. These are things that have been said on the media, in the media. And I think a lot of people don't hear it. And there's a reason for that. It just kind of gets filtered out. But it's definitely there. And then we've had questions about why Ukraine? Why has the West responded in the way that it has? Now, there is one reason, and it's proximity. It's in Europe. So European nations are definitely going to pay more attention to it. That's a legitimate foreign policy, national security reason. But then you think about those other statements. You think about the coverage. Do you honestly believe that if Russia had done this exact same thing in any country that ended in a stand, or any country in Africa, that the West would have responded this way? I don't believe that, not for a second. Because after all, it's normal for there to be AKs and RPGs over there with those other people, right? It's in the coverage. It is in the coverage. So this is a moment to acknowledge that and to think about the fact that in the United States, we hear academics, activists, people who are talking about race relations, we hear them talk about a concept called global white supremacy, right? And for a lot of people in the U.S., eyes glaze over because it doesn't even make sense. A whole lot of the world, there's not even a whole lot of white people there. How can it be a global thing? Because the major powers, those that have the force, that have the economic power to shape the world, have it ingrained there. Therefore, it filters through to the rest of the world. And that impacts their standard of living, what they're capable of accomplishing, because a lot of them do not have the economic power or the military power to compete or to say no. It still exists. It's been this way for a really long time. This is a clear example when you look at how united the Western world became immediately when that footage started coming out. If this was somewhere else, do you think it would be the same? If you're answering honestly. And you can see this in media coverage in a lot of different ways. A good one is when something happens in Africa, right? What's the footage that's used, or the image in a newspaper or online? It's typically of some village. Next time you see that happen, type in that country, get the capital name, and then go to Google Images. There is a habit of still portraying other parts of the world as semi-civilized. This is something that the world as a whole is going to have to deal with at some point. The sooner the better. And this is a teachable moment. We can see it play out in real time. Make no mistake, if Russia did this in a Central African country, the West would not be considering escalations that might lead to nuclear war over it. They would be whining about why they should even get involved. It's not really our problem, is it? But because of that familiarity, because of that habit of looking out for those you identify with most. In Ukraine, the West is all in. I don't think anybody can look at this and deny it if they're being honest. Beyond America's borders do not live a lesser people. Beyond Europe's borders do not live a lesser people. This is a moment where we can see it happening. There are a lot of times when dynamic situations unfold that you wait until afterward to talk about stuff like this. This isn't one of them. Because this concept, when it gets brought up in the United States, people reject it out of hand. But this shows it happening. Real time, right now. And sure, there are legitimate reasons for some of it. The proximity matters. And the fact that it's Russia and those early mistakes, it's foreign policy. What's foreign policy about? Power. Opposition nations, competitors to Russia, saw their moment to weaken it. Sure, that's a reason too. But when you listen to the coverage, it's pretty clear what a motivating factor is. Those people are like us. They're not like the others. It's something we need to fix. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.